And it cuts back to him at school the next day with this crazy bruised gash on his arm where it looks like a bite mark, but at the same time like a claw or something that just looks like he got fucked up for sure.
Walter.
Yeah, little Walter. And
this time I think his teacher
notices it, but he's actually drawing something, and he is asking him, who did that, and he's like, oh, the monster did it. And so he kind of takes note to it, sees that the kid's all drawing these monsters on this paper, and he asks him, like, why are you doing that? He said the girl behind him said that if you draw your problems on paper, that they'll disappear. Because you can crumple them up and they'll disappear, or you could throw them away. And he kind of the teacher doesn't really believe that. And the kid drew 2 pictures of the monster, and then the third one was the bully kid. Mm-hmm. And it shows the teacher walk away, and one of the papers that falls to the floor was of the bully. And he picks it up and he looks at it, and he kind of just crumbles it up and throws it away. And you hear the kid scream, and he actually fell down the stairs and broke both of his legs
and arms
and both of his arms. So it kind of gives you, you see him being taken away in the ambulance, and the kid who did the drawings is watching it from the window. So it kind of gives you a sense of like, hey, this is like some voodoo doll type shit, or like, he can control his monsters basically. So he thinks immediately, like, hey, I'm going to fucking do this to the monster at my house, which brings us to the teacher wanting to have a meeting with the mom, which he goes to the house. Mom tries to seduce him, kind of. And the teacher's more concerned about finding out who this monster is. And then we hear like a couple honks from outside, and then do you want to take over from here? Who shows up?
So then I'm not sure who David Alan Grier's,
what his name is. I think he's just like stepdad or something.
Carl,
stepdad Carl.
Yeah,
fucking crazy.
Yeah, he comes in. You can see the fear in the mom's face and her tone. She's like, stay right here. She goes to get the door.
Tells the kid go to his room, mm-hmm. and he doesn't listen.
Mm-hmm.
He stays
on the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes to answer the door, and by this time Carl's already on his way in, and he's like, "You were so busy you couldn't get the door for me? Like, what's going on?"
Immediately, like,
just very bad attitude.
And he's like, "Who's that?" And he sees him from like the front door in the kitchen, and she was like, "Oh, he's leaving right now." That's his teacher.
Yeah, that was just Walter, one of Walter's teachers. He came by to drop off some homework. She lies.
Yeah.
Not the reason why he's there. And so the teacher, is his name Richard?
I think so. I can't remember.
Yeah. He doesn't stand for that, and he's like, "Oh, actually,
you know what?
He's like, yeah, there's a little more to it than just homework.
Actually,
well, yeah, he's been telling me about like a monster." And
as soon as he says monster, you see David Alan Grier's body language go from like super, like, who the fuck is this, to serious, and he doesn't respond, and he walks into the kitchen, and then it cuts to them drinking tea, mm-hmm. sipping on tea, talking about his drawings, and he's handing them the fucking drawing of himself, the monster, and you can hear that David Alan Grier's inner monster kind of get pissed off, mm-hmm. like super mad, like he's like, you hear him growling while he's talking. Like, it's pretty weird.
So the teacher goes like, I just want to make sure everything's okay and see if we can like figure this out, because Walter is very disturbed by this.
Yeah.
Whatever is in this house. And so Carl is just like,
he tells him,
"I'll take care of it.
No,
I'll talk to him."
I'll talk to him. And he's like, "Excuse me?" He's like, "I'll talk to him." Like,
and then he just tells the mom,
"Sissy,
yeah, can you see him out to the front door, please?"
Yeah.
And then you can see the teachers really put off by the weird like atmosphere.
Yeah, mannerisms.
And so he's like, well, thanks for the tea.
Because he just had a drink, if that.
He just started.
Yeah. Yeah, so it shows him and he goes back to his car, which is a Volvo. Just like fucking... Spun. Sitting in his car, and this time you can see a silhouette shadow of David Alan Grier going up to the kid's room. Like, you can see him...
Yeah, Walter's room with the picture, with the drawing.
Yeah, and so you bust the door open.
And he goes, oh, you like to draw... In like a monster voice, he's like...
But same time he's talking regular, but the undertone of the monster growling voice.
There, yeah.
Oh, you want to draw motherfuckers now?
Or he says something like, oh, you want to draw fucked up... You like to draw fucked up pictures of people?
Yeah, that's right.
You little motherfucker.
Yeah, dude, so he's fucking... kind of starts to like wail on him, but then the mom comes into the room.
And that's when you realize that this monster... that Walter's envisioning is actually his stepdad. Exactly. So it's at the same time kind of like this is what he sees and how he's doing it, or maybe he really does turn into a monster. That's the mythos of it, you know. Just a quick side note, I know some stepdads are fucking nuts, so I can relate to that kid, but also you can totally see the fucked up vibes from him when he first arrives at the house and how they react towards him, you know. So you kind of know he's like, the light bulb goes on where it's like he's the problem.
Yeah, you can totally tell he's the monster. So he starts fucking up the mom, dude, like punching her in the face.
He like
open palm punches her
in the nose.
Yeah, that's like brutal as fuck. When I first saw that, I was like, "Yo,
that could kill you."
Yeah, he's kind of scary, dude. David Alan Grier as a bad guy, like he's kind of a dick. And he takes off his belt and he starts whipping the mom and the boy, and pushes them around and shit. And then
I guess in the original cut, the actual when he starts whipping Sissy. It's longer and more intense.
Really?
They cut it down. Yeah.
Damn. You know, and that's a real social undertone for domestic violence too.
Yeah.
And seeing, you know, as a kid, seeing all that, and it's really damaging. But what was I gonna say? Oh, the teacher sees this. He's still in his car and he's like tripping. You can tell it's eating away at him that he wants to do more for the kid because they're kind of just disregarding it. And he sees the dad beating on somebody. Doesn't know who it is.
In the house. So
in the house.
It's like a flight or flight type deal. He runs back in the house.
Busts in the house, and then the fight moves into the kitchen, right?
Yeah. And the teacher's like, you know, you got to stop this. Like, there's a better way. And he's like, this ain't your house, motherfucker.
Yeah, this is motherfucking my house. And he punches Apple too, dude. And they get into a scuffle. And you can hear during that time the monster fighting back, like, roar. You can hear like the distorted voices and shit. And then you kind of see Walter's like crying in the corner. And then you see the picture get thrown off the table because David Alan Grier's character lifts up the table because Walter's hiding under the table. And Walter picks up the picture, and while he has the belt and he was going to whip either the mom again or the teacher, he folds the paper where the dude's arm is, the monster arm, and it totally breaks his arm. Like, totally.
He has a skillet, right?
Yeah. That's right. He has a skillet. That's true. And he figures like, oh shit, this is really working, and so he folds the leg, and then you just see David Alan Grier just turn into like a pretzel, dude.
He collapses, yeah. But how they did it looks great.
Yeah, it looks really, really like weird, practical,
brutal,
like surreal, almost like as a kid when you're seeing it, you're like, holy shit, like it doesn't leave your head. You see him just kind of twist the paper like he's going to throw away a piece of paper and stuff, and he crumbles it up. And at this point, to me, I felt like this is where we figure out that David Alan Grier was in fact a demon, because you can't survive that shit for sure. You're not going to be able to talk. You're not going to be able to talk shit as a fucking crumbled up piece of person on the floor. He literally looks like I don't know, a Cinnabon on the floor, you know?
He does talk. He's like
Spawn.
He's like, "Oh, you think you won?
This ain't over, bitch."
He's like, still running his mouth
because he's a demon.
Mm-hmm.
So the teacher finally grabs a piece of paper from Walter and says, "Hey, you know what to do with this?" And he turns on the fucking stove, and he throws the paper into the stove, on the stove, and it burns him up. And he dies.
No evidence.
No evidence. He burns him up to a crisp. Like, super well done. Like, and it actually shows him in the casket. So this is where it actually cuts back to Sims.
Mm-hmm. And you see in the casket, it's the remains of Carl.
Mm-hmm.
His charred kind of remains.
Charred body. It looks like the last little piece of carne asada meat you leave on the grill, dude. You know exactly what I'm talking about. So it turns into goes back to the three boys, the three homies, and they're still talking shit to Sims and saying, you know, where's our drugs? We want our drugs. And he says, you know, we're getting there, basically. And then they turn the corner and they see, what was it? They see like a little fucking doll or something on the way there.
Mm-hmm.
And this doll looks creepy as fuck. It's like a little wooden doll with like real cloth on it. And one of the dudes is like, "What the fuck you have a doll here for?" or some shit. And he's like, "Oh, this doll, you know, he takes many forms," or something like that. And then it cuts to what's the name of that story?
KKK Comeuppance.
What the fuck? KKK Comeuppance? Damn. So
they're really not pulling any stops in these titles.
With the titles for sure. These are actually like in the script titles?
Mm-hmm.
Damn, dude.
Even when the credits roll at the end, you can see they show you the.
That's right.
Each title.
Each title. So in this one, Duke, what was his last name? Marget or something like that. Merget. He is a congressman who had bought a plantation, and these people are protesting it. They called the plantation the Dollhouse.
Duke Metniker.
Yeah, Duke, whatever, that dude. Loosely based off of David Duke, head of the KKK from the 70s and 80s. But they buy that house, or they buy the old plantation, and there's these people, specifically the black community, who are protesting it because they know he's a fucking racist, first of all. Second of all, he's living in a kind of like a national monument that he had bought, and this place has a lot of mythos to it. Like, was she like the housekeeper or someone that was trying to like run the Underground Railroad or trying to free these slaves? Like an older grandma?
Yeah, there was. But he does tell the story, like a loosely based story, where all of these slaves were murdered close to the premises,
mm-hmm.
And then their bodies were dumped into a mass grave, I think. And then that lady, like, supposedly put all of their souls into these dolls.
Yep. And then she was immortalized in the house with the dolls as a painting. Memorialized. Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't know why I said
mural. With a mural. Yeah.
And the guy has an assistant, which is his assistant, like a African American gentleman who was kind of like, I want to say like a traitor, like a sellout. He's kind of like, doesn't really agree with what the black community is saying about this person. He doesn't really mind that his boss is a racist, and he's trying to get him to pretty much, he agrees with his views. So I think they're filming like a campaign ad or something at the house, and they're trying to get the Duke's kind of persona down and try to So he says, let me show you if I were you, this is what I would say. And so he's doing all these stupid